everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's video we are doing yet another Cricut SVG. This one I just kind of had in my head. I know that there are die sets out here that will make a cupcake shaped card. Whew, speaking's hard. But I don't have any. And usually dies this large are pretty pricey. And so I decided to check out Cricut Design Space and see what they had, and I found something that worked really well. So today's Cricut SVG file is titled Cupcake Greetings Card by Alison Winter. That's where I found it. That's who made this one. So thank you, Alison, for being much more creative and savvy with Design Space than I am. So I chose to cut all of my pieces out of white cardstock. You could absolutely use colored cardstock. However, I have a tendency to invest more in my inks and my alcohol markers than into my colored cardstock. But you could absolutely do that if you wanted to. I just used her cut file as it was. I do think I made it, no, it came this size. You could make it bigger or smaller. I chose to use it just how it was because it was about 5 inches. It'd make about a 5x5 card, and that's what I wanted to make. So this is actually going to be my little wee bear, her card for Valentine's Day. And her favorite color is pink, and she recently had a birthday, and her favorite cake that her Nini makes for her is strawberry. So I'm going to make a vanilla cake, but with some strawberry frosting. And I'm going to use my artist markers from Altenew. So yeah, let's quit jibber jabbering. Let's go ahead and get into it. So the first thing I'm going to work on is the cupcake liner. So that actually comes in 2 pieces. This is kind of the detail layer, and this is the body of it. And I'm going to use my alcohol markers for this, and I'm going to make this purple. So I have a gathering, if you will, of Copic marker or of alcohol markers. You can use whatever you want. You can ink blend this. You can do shimmer sprays. You could watercolor it. However is your favorite way to color things in, go for it. I'm just going to use my markers because I haven't used those, and I have used my inks recently in last week's video. So I'm going to be using, let's see, RUBELLITE and RAZZLEBERRY. So let me see which of these is darker because they look different based on the cap color. So to me, this RAZZLEBERRY is darker. So I'm going to color this in with this. Again, you could I'm not going to do anything fancy for a few reasons. One, my little daughter is not going to care. And 2, this is going to have a lot of things over the top of it. It's not going to really be noticeable because once you put this on top and this is colored, like it's going to be fine. And like the added texture is going to be, it's just going to add to it, not be distracting. At least that's what I'm telling myself. I could be totally wrong. So as you see, I'm not doing anything fancy. If you wanted to, you could absolutely cut this out of colored cardstock and then do some nice ink blending over it. I'm not going to do that. You could, like I said, do this in any coloring medium that you enjoy. I think if you were going to do this for an adult, you could even leave it all white, and that'd be really pretty. Again, this is a really like cool kind of cut file. So I'm just trying to get rid of some of those extra marks, but I'm not gonna stress too much about them. One of the things I am gonna do is kind of go over the sides of this just to kind of make it look like I did use this out of colored cardstock, but that actually blended out pretty darn well. Okay, so there is the cupcake liner. And that was out of the RAZZLEBERRY from Altenew. So here is the like detail layer of the liner, and I'm going to use the RUBELLITE for this. And this one, we're going to go even faster. A, there's not as much to color, and B, the like streak marks or brush strokes are not going to be nearly as visible. So this one will go a lot faster. Sorry, I can't seem to like multitask and like talk and color at the same time. It's very sad. All the concentrations that have to come into my crafting. I feel like I have to fill in all of the quiet with my jibber jabber, and I'm sure some of you could care less about my jibber jabber. All right, almost done here, folks. I'm actually working on my glass work surface, which I could absolutely use my alcohol markers on here and then wipe them off with either rubbing alcohol or like a goof off, but I'm being lazy, and so I'm just using scrap paper so that I can just throw it away. All right, so here's this. Now I can see where, once I layered that on top of it, I could see where I'd missed some things. So let me just keep double checking just to make sure. And this is where it would probably be a good idea to go through and just add in so it looks like I actually did cut that out of colored cardstock. This may be a step that you don't care about, but it is a step that I think really does help finish off a card nicely. Okay, let's see how that looks. Okay, I think once that alcohol evaporates, that'll be just fine. It looks really like streaky, but if you think about it, a cupcake liner is not like smooth, you know, because you've got the texture of the cake. So this having some streaks and strokes and all that jazz is not a bad thing. Okay, so there's that part. Now for the actual like cupcake part. So this layers on here. So this is the actual like base. And again, I just cut that out of white. She has the score line in there already for you. And I actually forgot to put in my scoring stylus, so I just put this in by myself. But that's neither here nor there. I'm a professional. I'm a professional. All right. So so that's going to go on there like that. So what I'm going to do so that I can actually get the cake portion right is I'm going to take this piece, which is like the most filled in part of the icing. I'm just going to lay that on top, and I'm going to take a pencil and very lightly, just kind of roughly mark that out. Now, something to note, when you put alcohol ink over the top of this, you're going to trap that marker or that pencil underneath. So I've got a little strip, like essentially if I cover from the middle of this icing to about here, I'll be fine. So I'm going to go ahead and erase these lines, because I don't want to necessarily trap that ink or that pencil underneath there. And then I'm going to take whatever ink was left on my marker, or on my brush, and I'm just going to add what essentially would look like icing. If I don't have enough ink, I'll come in with some antique linen distress oxide ink, but really I think this is going to be sufficient, just so we can actually have something that looks like a cupcake and not like I forgot to do something, which I would not put past me. Okay, so I think that is going to be fine. Let's double check it. Yeah, that'll be just fine. That looks like a vanilla cupcake. Okay, cool. All right, so I'm going to set those all aside and let's work on this part. So this is the most solid part of the icing. Now what's cool is that her topper, her icing, came in 3 parts. So we've got the one that has the sprinkles, and then we've got kind of the detail layer to the icing, and then we've got the most solid layer. Now, I could have kept all of these little pieces that fell out, but A, I didn't feel like chasing them around, and B, I thought I was going to do some Nuvo drops, but I changed my mind. So what I'm going to do is show you another way to make it look like you have sprinkles on there without having to either A, cut out a whole bunch of colors of cardstock, ink blend a whole bunch of sections, blah, blah, blah. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to flip this over, not that it really matters, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay this on top here, and I'm going to take my pencil and I'm just going to trace around these real fast. Now the pencil marks in here are not going to be a super big deal. I'm trying not to like push down like super hard, but they're not going to be a huge deal. And I'll show you why in a second, other than I'm getting pencil mark on top of this, which I will erase those. Okay, so those are where all of my sprinkles are. So let me show you what I'm going to do. Don't mind my reach. I'm going to take some more alcohol markers. Again, these are all from Altenew, and I'll tell you the colors down below. But I'm just going to color these in with the bullet nib. And I'm going to kind of go outside the pencil mark just so that I can give myself, I'm making sure that I'm actually like covering everything. Try to do maybe 3 of each color. I've got 4 colors here. It doesn't matter if I use the brush nib or not, I suppose. Okay, last color. And again, I'll tell you the colors in the description box below. So let's see kind of how that looks. Okay, I need to get that green one just a little bit more, but then we'll be fine. Okay, let's see. Let's double check it one more time just to see. Okay. You can kind of see my pencil marks on there, and let me show you that you really can't erase it once. See, it does not come off. So that alcohol marker will like trap anything underneath it, which is fine. I'm not gonna stress. So these are what the sprinkles are gonna look like, and I think that's kind of fun. So the next step is to color in this part and this part. And like I said, her favorite cake that her Nini makes for her is strawberry. That's how she says strawberry, which is super cute. She's adorable. Anyway, so again, more alcohol markers. And what I'm going to do, so I take my alcohol markers, I know this is like all up in your face, and I take a little label from Dollar Tree, and I color that label because this is not necessarily the color that the actual marker colors. So I go ahead and do kind of like an ink swatch that I stick on the marker. So I'm kind of looking, I think for the lightest layer, I'm going to do this one. And for the darkest layer, I'm going to do this one. I think that looks fairly close to a strawberry. So this is going to be darker. This is going to be lighter. At least that's how I'm saying it in my head. So again, same kind of concept. Now, a little bit of, I guess, color theory for you. You could get very specific on how you color this because you've got dips here and you could put shading and all that jazz. But y'all, I am not a colorist. Again, if you want to know a good colorist, Kelly Taylor, Emily Midget, and Sandy Allnock. Those are ones that I would highly recommend if you want to know how to like color and get realistic coloring and beautiful shading and all that fun stuff that's just way over my head. And honestly, not what brings me joy in crafting. Then those are the ladies I would suggest you take a look at. So there is that. That looks pretty good. So let's color in this lighter one. Let's use the bigger part. Let's use the brush so that I'm not here for 12,000 years. So in like full disclosure, I tried to do this using scraps, like cutting out these pieces using scraps of white cardstock. And the cardstock I'm using is from Paper Studio. Again, I'll kind of link that all below, or, mention all of that below. And I honestly didn't have enough cardstock, so I actually had to kind of round this corner right here by hand. So it's not going to line up perfectly with that. That's okay. But in full disclosure, didn't happen. See? See? It's okay. It's all right. That is not as light as I would like that to be. Let's just kind of see. Now I know that that alcohol has to evaporate, but that is not as light as I would like that to be, I don't think. So let's try this. I'm going to use an even lighter shade of pink. This is Coral Berry, and I'm going to see if I can't lighten that up just a little bit more, or give it a slightly different hue, maybe. Let's see what this does. Next step is to go with my colorless blender and see if I can't lighten that some more. Let's see what I like. Let's see if I like that a little better. I think I like that a little better. All right. I think I need some more of that red on this one right here. So let's pull that out. And I don't think I have this colored very well over here, so I'm just going to add some of that right there. Again, just because I didn't cut this out perfect. I still don't think that is enough, like, contrast. So I'm going to grab a colorless blender. So I'm going to try a colorless blender to see if I can't lighten that just a little bit more. And I am kind of scrubbing. I just want to lighten this a little bit more. I want it to have a little more contrast against that darker pink than it has. So kind of see if I can't get some of this color to lift. So all that a colorless blender is just more alcohol. So the lighter your colors are, the more alcohol they have in them and the less pigment they have. So I'm just trying to lighten this a little bit, and all a colorless blender is just alcohol. It's not, there's no color in it. Okay, that's better. That's a lot better. Okay, we're gonna go with that, I think. All right, so let's kind of give us an idea on how this is gonna look when it's all together. One of the concerns I have is that these two are going to clash, and I think that they do. So what I'm going to do is some color glazing. So all that means is that I'm going to take probably this one. I'm going to take this color, which for reference is Coral Bliss, and I'm going to go over this cupcake liner. If worse comes to worse, I can always cut this out again, but I'd rather not. So I'm just going to kind of go over this and see if I can't give this just a little bit more of a red tone to match this frosting. So if you can tell, like, we're changing the hue just a little bit. And this color has a lot of the alcohol in it, so it's going to kind of bleed that color out a lot better. Because I want this to stay darker, but I just need to change its hue just a little bit so that it matches a little better. And this is called color glazing. Something that I learned from Kelly Taylor. All right. So I'm going to do the same thing over here. I could have given this more of a purple hue and gone over this with this other color, with kind of a lighter shade of these purpley, more magenta colors. But her favorite is strawberry, so I kind of want to have it have more of a strawberry color than a purpley color. Okay, let's see how that is looking, because I don't want them to match. Like, I don't want them to be identical, but I also don't want them to clash. I don't want them to clash either. So picky. Okay, let's see. Okay, that I think looks a little bit better. Let's see how it looks on the actual cupcake with our vanilla. Our vanilla. Okay, I think that looks a lot better and a lot more cohesive. Okay. All right, y'all. So that's good enough for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and start adhering this down. I'm just going to use liquid glue for that. And I'm going to glue everything down flat. What you could do is, you know, pop up maybe the icing, the more solid, you know, this layer. You could pop up this layer, give it some more dimension, but I'm going to keep it kind of flat. I am going to add sparkle, but we will do that in a minute. So let's go ahead and start adhering everything together and everything down. I'm just going to go ahead and start this. Scoot that out of the way. All right, let's lift that up and scoot that over. Okay. For detail layers like this, you could always adhere, cut it out with some like, what's the word I'm looking for? Double-sided tape. Or you could use like a spray adhesive. This isn't too terrible. And I'm not trying to be like super particular. Okay. I want to show you how this is oh boy. How this is put together. Because I feel like sometimes, like, when people are trying to explain how they put something together, it's kind of confusing. And so I just want to show you how this is actually put together. I've got some glue that's oozing out. That glue is going to dry clear, so I'm not too terribly concerned, but I do want to clean that up just a little bit. Okay, so there's that part. And I'm going to glue this down first. So I'm going to show you that on the back of this, so let me just finish with this first. Let me get some glue on this. So for the sprinkles, like I said, you could have inlaid those and kept the little pieces that come out and inlaid them. You could have used Nuvo drops and just skipped that little piece there. However, there are companies, I'm trying to think. Oh, I think Waffle Flour is one. Maybe even Simon. They have like sprinkle confetti, which would be super adorbs. And you could use that also. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and glue this on. Now, the reason why I didn't glue this piece down first is because if you look, that actually hangs off the top. So in order to give you that shaped card, you have to have some sort of fold. But to keep a continuous shape on your card, you have another piece that goes on top that is the continued shape. So I don't want to add glue there. So what I'm going to do is just kind of eyeball it and add glue below where I think that line is. If that bothers you that you can see your alcohol marker coloring, you could always cut another layer, or depending on what medium you, oh boy, oh man, that could have been disastrous. Depending on what color medium you try to use, you may not have that problem. Okay, so there is that. All right, so like I said, I want to add some sparkle to this. So how I'm going to do that is with a glitter pen. Let's see, where are my glitter pens? Here's one. So this is one crystal clear from Spectrum Noir. And I'm gonna get some ink flowing. I'm doing this off of my project, and that is why, because I have a tendency to squeeze too hard and then I get too much out and then it's a disaster. So every cupcake needs some sparkly icing. It also needs a sparkly cupcake liner. We're going to sparkle all of the things. Now, one of the things that I want to do, that I just now decided that I want to do, is again, I'm squeezing this off to the side so I don't get a big clump, because that has happened before, is where those sprinkles are, I am going to add some glossy accents. Okay, so that is all good to go. So the next step is some glossy accents. So let me get my glossy accents. It is somewhere in this carousel. I thought maybe I am mistaken. There it is. Okay, so here is some glossy accents, and I'm just going to add that right in where these little sprinkles are. It's going to make them shiny. It's going to give them a little bit of dimension and add just a little bit more interest. If I had like confetti or like sprinkles, embellishments, I would totally use those here. But I do not. So we are working with what I got. Again, just going to fill in all of these spaces. I think my bottle is kind of clogged. I've had this glossy accents for a very long time, so maybe that my glossy accents is getting old. I don't know if that's a thing. I need the glue press for these. Goodness. All right, hold on. Okay, my glossy accents was just a little clogged. So I went ahead and unclogged that and then went ahead and filled in all of those sprinkles. Bring that a little closer so you can see the sparkle and the dimension that glossy accents gives. So that is that. That is a little cupcake shaped birthday card. I'm going to put that into an envelope. And then that is it. So thank you so much for spending time with me. I hope you have felt inspired during these Valentine cards. And I hope that you feel inspired to send someone a paper hug. So until then, we will see you next time. Bye.